What's poppin', yo? Welcome back to another YouTube video. And today we're going to be taking a look at my guilty pleasure in movies. It's not something which I really talk about on the channel. I haven't reviewed too many shark media here on the channel, which is a little unfortunate because it is a little one of my guilty pleasures. I do like a good old shark movie, and you could all say they all have the same premise, but some of them are so much better than others. Like The Shallows is a fucking brilliant one, and then we also have some others which I think are fucking brilliant, like 47 Meters Down. That's a fucking banger of a shark movie, and like shark movies are just underrated. You can say that they're all the same, and I don't give a shit. I like them. They're my guilty pleasure. I like to watch them. I think they're good, and they make me happy. So I'm going to be talking about a one which I haven't seen before, which is called There's Something in the Water. Ah yes, a pretty basic title for a shark movie, not gonna lie, but I think it is one of the better shark movies, to be fair, which I don't think I share this same opinion with many people, because this movie has a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. It came out in 2024, so it is rather new, which is fucking brilliant, and it is a 4.1 out of 10 on IMDb. It is a thriller action movie, which is 1 hour and 26 minutes. It can be watched on Netflix, YouTube, Google Play, and Sky Store. Reunited for a destination wedding, 5 girlfriends decide to meet a boat to send the day along the coast. However, when they get stranded in open water, they find themselves in a fight for their lives against circling sharks. Mother Nature. I'm going to be honest, the sharks don't play a huge role in this shark movie, but it is still a decent fucking movie, which I think deserves some credit. So how the movie actually starts is with two lovebirds getting the shit beaten out of them by some racist pieces of shit, and then we time skip to a year later, where our main girl has trauma from that one night where she was beaten within an inch of her life by some homophobic pieces of fucking shit. I can't think of another insult off the top of my head, I am really sorry, but they are fucking awful people. And the girlfriend ended up breaking up with her over this thing because they felt like it could have been avoided. And anyway, she picks her up from the airport, which she wasn't too happy about, and they then have a pretty decent night, getting the girls together, having a good old party, having a pre-wedding meal, having a little night out where they all have a grand old time, sing and dance to one of the songs which keeps getting played throughout the rest of the movie. And then we have them going on a little set sail the next morning and getting everyone up really early. Even though they're all probably jet lagged, they all have to get up stupidly early to set off on this boat. They then go find this island, they ditch 2 of them on one side of it, and they fuck off round to the other side, because they want them to make up so it's not awkward for the rest of them. I think that's like a really shitty move. This is a trope that is used in quite a few movies and TV shows, very similar to how it was used in Outer Banks, which never really gets it to work. I'm gonna be honest, it is kind of a shitty thing to do, forcing people to do it, but sometimes it can be justified. However, I think stranding them on a desert island is a prick move. I think it is a prick move. Because they have no food, no water, no way off. I know they didn't go far, they went around to the other side of the island, but I just still think it's a prick move. And they pretend to get back together and want to have a double wedding, so they swim round to the other side of the island, holding hands, and the girls who wedding it is starts to panic a little bit. Starts to kind of shit herself because she doesn't really want to have a double wedding. And then one girl gets bit by a shark and she's, losing quite a lot of blood. They get her onto the boat and they drive the boat away. However, the girl that's never drove the boat before is driving the fucking boat, and she crashes it and puts a hole in it. The boat then sinks. This girl can also not fucking swim. Okay, swimming is a very important life lesson. Why are you going out into the ocean, right, if you cannot fucking swim? So she gets a little fucking buoy. The girl with a massive fucking hole in her leg gets a life jacket, the only life jacket on the boat, and then the other 3 are just, well, suck it up, buttercup, you gotta swim. So these 3 are swimming, propping up the girl, trying to keep her foot out of the water so the water doesn't dissipate and bring back more sharks. And, she dies. She dies of blood loss, and they let the body go, give the life jacket to the girl who's having the wedding. Then one girl decides to swim to land, decides to swim to shore because he's the best swimmer. And then we get a law drop, which means that girl was actually going to propose them that night when they were attacked, but unfortunately wasn't able to because they got attacked and she was beaten within an inch of her life. So they decide, if anyone's surviving, it's her. The girl that brought them out feels awful for, getting them all in this mess, getting them all in this situation, and everyone keeps blaming her. Everyone keeps talking shit about her, and we get a little bit of backstory with her, about how shittily her parents treat her as well, and I think that's awful because she never really gets any sign of love or care from any of her friends in her final moment. She's just told that she's a ignorant piece of shit that got them all in this mess and is responsible for killing them all. And she ends up getting scratched, and a shark eats her, and then it's just down to 2. These 2 then float in the water for a pretty long time, and obviously they're both tired, they're both knackered, and the girl that's getting married decides to give the life jacket to the other girl and drowns. The girl then wakes up, gets attacked by a shark, has a 1v1 with the shark, fucking punching it straight in the nose, landing on a rock, and then getting picked up by her girlfriend, who they then get back together. That's when the movie ends, and I am left with a whole lot of questions with how this movie ends. I want to know the consequences. I would love to know the consequences. What does the boyfriend have to say about his wife being dead at sea? What does the family of the wedding have to say? Like what's the consequences of them dying, Like, does no one give a shit? We never get any answers. The sharks are also quite lackluster. Most of the deaths are from just being at the ocean in the hands of a storm, and it is slightly upsetting. The sharks don't look that good, I'm gonna be honest. The budget for the CGI must have been quite low, because the sharks look fucking terrible, and I did actually burst out laughing when the shark jumped out of the water and she fucking punched it in the nose. It did feel quite goofy and quite silly, but I did enjoy it. I still thought this was a really good movie. I liked the character drama between them all and seeing all their different personalities. With the girl that was getting married, sorry, I do not remember any of their fucking names, I'm gonna be honest. But the girl that was getting married, she was just worried about getting back to the wedding, and it was nice to see her character arc where she decided to give herself up for the other girls, which isn't something that she would normally do, and I quite liked that arc because she was just complaining like a bitch, and I genuinely hated her at the start of the movie, but I did get some respect for her towards the end. The girl that took them out on the boat, I feel like, had a pretty sad story because she just felt really shit and she was blamed for everything when realistically it wasn't her fault. They could have all said no, they didn't get pressured into doing it. She might have insisted that they go, but they wasn't pressured. They're all mates. They were just having a laugh, having a good time. And blaming her, I feel, was like a really shitty move. And her dying by sacrificing herself to try and make up for what she's done, and to try and sort of have a redemption where she feels awful for having them all end up in this situation. So if she can save them, she's going to try by luring the sharks away, which I think is a very honorable move, not gonna lie. That is a absolute legend move. And the other girl that fucking swam all the way back to land, honestly, best character in the movie. She was sick. I really liked her character. She was only in it for like 10 minutes, but she was the best character in the entire movie. I really liked how she stood up for her relationship, and it may have gotten her girlfriend beaten the shit out of, but that wasn't her fault. She was fighting for what she believed in, and I really like that. And you should always fight for what you believe in. It's a very basic story trope, but I still like it. It's still a very good one, which is needed. It is needed, and I liked it. I thought it was sweet. I just actually genuinely, I was shocked when everyone started beating the shit out of her, because I didn't think people did that shit anymore. I'm gonna be honest. I thought people were a lot nicer, but I was wrong. Humanity is still a piece of shit, so I was wrong, unfortunately. And you know what? I felt awful for them, and I actually wanted to beat the shit out of the people that were beating the girl, and like it genuinely made me really angry and really frustrated. But I don't think it was utilized all too well. We had a couple of flashbacks or a couple of like trauma moments where the girl panicked because her head was pushed underwater, where the girl panicked because she saw the girl or she went over a bump, but it had no real like effect to the situation. She just had a little bit of a flashback, and that was it. She got short of breath, and then we also had like them forgiving each other quite quickly. And again, it wasn't her fault. I feel like they should have forgiven each other and that they should have fallen out over this. But I was quite confused because she got over this trauma very fucking quickly. To say she's had this trauma for a year and she has these like anxiety apps on her phone to help her with it, and she gets over it just like that because she's being attacked by sharks, I think isn't realistic. I feel like she should have more trauma because she's being attacked by sharks and all of her friends have just died in front of her, which is a fucking awful situation to be in. I can't relate, I'm gonna be honest. I've never been in this situation before, but I fucking know that it's an awful situation just by watching movies like this. And I just like shark movies. Some shark movies are really good with how different they are and how, like, you know, they take the story in different directions and how the characters sort of overcome the shark by having their personal motivations and what makes them want to survive. And I like that. I like these sort of disaster movies where these characters, you know, push forward and we get to see why they want to live and why they want to survive. It's just a little guilty pleasure of mine, and I think this was a really, really good movie. Personally, I'm going to give this movie a pretty solid 9 out of 10. I really like this one, and I think Rotten Tomatoes are wrong with their review.